how you doing? So we're back once again. It's part 24 of the classic mini workshop. I hope you've all had a great week, and in this week's update I'm going to talk about oversills, the dreaded oversills. And quite interestingly, in particular, we're going to talk about oversills fitted on Vinny. So the mere mention of the word oversills usually has us mini owners running for cover and thinking all sorts of nasty things around rot and corrosion and that sort of thing. And I don't want to mislead anyone, oversills are a really bad idea. Certainly given the choice of a car with or without them, I would go with a car without oversills all day long, even if it meant I had to do some welding on it and I had to do some additional repairs. I'd rather have a rusty Mini that hasn't got oversills on it than one that's been bodged up with oversills. Like I say, they're a really bad idea. And it's a hot topic lately, so I saw one of DJSE's videos the other day. He's just found out his Mini's got oversills on it and they've been fitted really poorly. And the legend that is Dave Jaguar 66 in his recent videos where he's restoring another Mini has mentioned about oversills and given a bit of insight into why people used oversills in the past. And I completely agree with him. 20, 30 years ago maybe not even as long as that, but Minis weren't worth as much money. They were cheap cars to keep on the road, and given the choice of spending hundreds and hundreds of pounds to have a job done properly and the welding done properly, they were cheap budget cars for people that didn't have a lot of money to spend. So they got budget repairs done on them, and unfortunately that meant oversills. They're quick and easy to fit oversills, and they cover up rust, and they might get you through the next MOT, but longer term on a car like a Mini, they will just rot. They'll cause the car to rot. So like I say, there's no doubt about this, they are a really bad idea. I think what's quite interesting, and what might come as a surprise to some of you that watch this or know me in particular, my car Vinny has oversills on it, and I even bought it knowing it had oversills on it. So like I say, when I bought that car back in 2012, I bought it off eBay, I bought it on photos alone. At the time I just wanted a cheap Mini to, just something for a bit of fun, something I could play around with. So I never had the opportunity to see the car before I bought it. I bought it on the auction part of eBay, so I think, like I've said in previous videos, I paid £990 for that. For that sort of money, you really cannot afford to be fussy. It was taxed, it was MOT'd, and it drove, and for that sort of money, you can't really expect much else. When I got there, I started looking over the car. It was relatively clean. It did have quite a bit of rot in it. It was low mileage, I think it had 29,000 miles on it when I bought it. But yeah, it had oversills on it, so like I say, wasn't really in a position to reject the car. I'd already paid for it and won it on the auction, and to be honest, I wasn't that fussed. Like I say, for that sort of money, one really can't complain about it. I think what's remarkable though is the mere mention of oversills puts chills up people's spines and they start to worry and that sort of thing. But I just wanted to show you something which is interesting. So this is an invoice from the previous owner of Vinny, Mrs. Collins, who lived down in Southampton. I've just covered up her telephone number there. Don't even know if she's alive now. She was an elderly lady then, so who knows. This was some repair work that was done. It had been crashed, it had some front end work and had some welding done on it at the same time. So this was done at RJM Minis down in Southampton. I have no idea whether they still exist or not, but this is when the oversills were fitted. So I will go out to the car in a moment and I'll show you the underneath of the car and I'll show the oversills on it. But this is 29th of October 2006. So Vinny has had oversills on it for almost 12 years. It'll be 12 years this year. Vinny has had oversills on it, and when you go out and you'll see they've not rotted. It's a solid car. I have had to do little weld repairs on it, but why I made this video, what was interesting and what I really picked up from Dave Jaguar's video the other day was it creates problems inside the car with damp, and there's nowhere for the condensation to go. So that condensation sits in the car, and that literally rusts the car from the inside out, which up until I saw Dave's video actually I'd never really given a second thought, and now I think I'm going to do something about it. So like I say, I've always known it's at oversills, it's never really bothered me. I thought one year I'll get round to cutting them out and putting proper seals back in, but I'm definitely going to get on with it and do it, I think, come winter this year. So one of the biggest issues I've always had with Vinny is, well, like most Minis actually, it's battling the rust. But what has always amazed me is it goes rusty sitting in my garage, which I just find unbelievable, to be honest. But like I say, watching Dave Jaguar's video, it makes sense now. So I'll try and put a photo in at the moment, but the back of Vinny's roof here, particularly this corner, and all the way round the side and round to this side as well, when I've got the car, it was bubbled up with rust all along the back here, and I thought it's a really odd place for a Mini to rot. I've also had a bit of rot up in these corners here, and up in this panel here, and what amazed me was it was rotting from the inside out. So I took down the headlining to clean it all off, cure rust it and wax oil it, and then a few years ago I put a vinyl wrap on Vinny's roof, and it rusted underneath the vinyl wrap, which just makes no sense to me at all. Underneath the vinyl wrap, it can't get any moisture there, so it was obviously rusting from the inside out. And like I say, it wasn't until I saw Dave's video the other day that the penny really dropped, that the reason it was doing that was because the condensation was sitting up inside the roof panel, and it quite literally was rotting from the inside out. So as you know now, this was all done. I'd done it again last year, so I rubbed it all back again, I cure rusted it, I treated it, and then repainted the roof. And then more recently I've put a carbon fibre roof skin on the roof. So this carbon fibre roof skin really is just for looks really, but I know that was a little bit rotten in the corners up there, so it just adds a little bit of strength as well. So just for comparison, before I show you the Sill on Vinny, this is a Sill on PL, so this doesn't have oversills on it, and you can tell that because the outer sill is a lot less wide than an oversill, and it also has these flutes in the bottom that are open, so you can get your finger up inside there, and every now and again, periodically, you should go up there and clean any dirt or grime out of there which could block up. These let the whole shell of the car breathe, and they stop any water getting trapped inside that inner sill. So like I say, this is a standard outer sill, it's not an oversill. Interestingly, on PL, when they fitted this, they've just gone straight over the jacking point there, so I don't know why they've done that. I'm not really fussed, to be honest. No one ever uses that jacking point anyway. So if I now look at Vinny for a comparison, you'll see that all the way along, it's quite hard to see actually because it's black, but the sill, the flutes are not open, they're closed. The actual sill itself, we can see the weld line along here, so it's continuous seam weld the whole way long, and the weld line goes from the front to the back of the car. But the actual width of the sill is probably about another 2" wider than the standard sill. So that is an oversill, cover sill, whatever you want to call it. I think what I'm going to do for the moment, I'm just going to cut open one of these flutes at the bottom, stick a boroscope in there, have a look inside. Don't know what the solution is really. Like I say, they're not rotten, so I'm not too worried about it, but I am worried about the condensation built up, as sort of said by Dave Jaguar, so I can try and do something about that. Well, that's that little job done. I'm not quite sure how we're going to progress with this. For the moment though, I've cut open the flutes all the way along. They were all wet inside, so you know, it just goes to show where the water or moisture was collecting. The only saving grace is they've all been wax oiled inside, so there was lots of wax in there, which has probably stopped them rotted through, but they were full of water, or full of damp anyway. It's like, it's, I don't know what it is, I suppose it's like mud and dirt, I don't know. But that's that side done, and it's kind of a tale of two halves here. So if you look at this side, if I use this side as an example, so this is a cover sill, this, and it's obviously, the good news is it's not been covered over a rusty old sill that's in there. So inside there is the inner floor pan, or the inner sill, which is good, so it's not just covered over a rusty sill. But if you look at the width of this side, so just past the flute and then it's welded on there, so there is a little bit of overlap there, but it's only a small one, so I'm not overly concerned about that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this for a couple of weeks to dry out, because it was wet inside there, so I don't want to go doing anything with it at the moment. I'll leave it for a couple of weeks and dry out, then I think I'll re-wax the inside of that, paint this with stone chip. I think that'll be alright. There is a little bit of an overlap there, but it's not a huge one, so I'm not overly worried about that. But I'll just switch and I'll show you the difference on the other side. Hopefully you'll be able to see this side, it's really bright in the sun. But I've done the same this side. I've cut open the flutes all the way along. This side, interestingly, was bone dry, so it's nice and dry up inside there. Seems better condition on this side. I'll stick a torch up and look up inside there. There's the inner floor pan. Again, it has been waxed, but it's in pretty good condition. Again, that hasn't covered over another outer sill, so they've cut off the original outer sill. But on this side, disappointingly, the Oversill goes obviously from here down to the flute, and it goes way past the flute, right up to sort of the first ridge in the floor pan, which means there's a good probably 4 inches of overlap there, which I'm really not happy about. So I don't know, this side I think I'm probably just going to cut the whole way along. Let's say the inner sill looks good, so I don't reckon it's going to be too much grief. I'll just carry on that cut all the way along and then re-weld back, take away the overlap, and fingers crossed. I might do the same on the other side, but the other side doesn't overlap as much as this side, so we'll see how it goes. But for now I'm just going to leave it for a couple of weeks in the dry, let all the shell dry out inside, and then I'll do something else with it.
Gone dreaded Oversill.